I grew up in the 60s, and as a young adult heard a lot about people finding themselves. Is it possible to actually lose yourself amidst these stories? Right now, I'm 61, and I'm still not sure who I am.
Yeah, welcome to Earth. First of all, can you lose yourself? Sure. Yourself can get buried under just layers and layers of all kinds of stuff in life, right? So for sure you can lose yourself. Can you find yourself? I would argue that that's a process. I would argue that human beings are processes. Essentially, they're processes. They're constantly evolving, constantly growing. You will not be the same person tomorrow or even in an hour from now that you are right now. So you are a process. You are in motion. So when people say, I'm going to find myself, it's like, really? It's like, well, the moment you find yourself, it will change.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think it's the journey toward wholeness and toward an inner world that's characterized by self-knowledge, self-love, and not in service to narcissistic stuff, but really in service to loving others, to live in the world more beautifully, in service to what we would hope the world could be, right? So, not knowing yourself is kind of common. I wouldn't say I know myself. I know, because I've spent a lot of work on it, I probably know myself better than people who haven't done that work. But to think that you're ever going to arrive there and go, ta-da, and the lights are going to go on is kind of like a fool's errand.
You're right. Yeah, I totally agree. Because when I look at something like the Enneagram, it doesn't help me find myself as much as it has a path towards finding myself.
Yes, exactly. And we're all a little bit like the stock market, aren't we? Mm-hmm. It's like it goes up and down, but you got to watch the trend over time.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so if you watch your trend over time, I think that's what's important. Am I continuing to move toward becoming the highest expression of who I am or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'd say.
When someone says they're trying to find themselves, they've lost themselves, quite often that translates to, I feel incomplete in some way. And I think one of the reasons, this isn't the only reason, but one of the reasons we feel incomplete is because the people and the organizations, the corporations, the advertisers around us have incompleted us.
Yes.
They've told us we're inadequate. By the way, we're already good enough at telling ourselves we're inadequate. We don't need the help of these corporations, although they create a problem in order to sell you a solution, right? And so the only real solution is understanding that you're already complete.
Yes.
There's already a complete human being there. You don't need to do anything different. You don't need to become someone else. You can become someone else, and you likely will become someone else. But the needing to become someone else is another type of prison that we've created for ourselves.
Absolutely.
And so I think for this question in particular for Melody, and this can apply to anyone, whether they're in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. We had a 92-year-old show up at our San Diego event a few years ago, and she said, I'm 92 and I'm finally simplifying my life. And what I heard from that was, I'm finally finding myself. I'm removing the excess clutter. Now, for her, it started with physical clutter, but then it was looking inside and realizing I have all these broken stories that have broken me as a person because I've been telling myself that I'm this kind of person and these things outside of me will make me better, will make me improved, will make me different, will make me whole. And as soon as I accept that as nonsense, then I can look inward and say, maybe I'm already complete.
Yeah. So, I think repairing broken stories begins with realizing the emperor has no clothes.
Yes.
And calling it.
Yeah.
Right. And then saying, well, who do I want to be?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
What kind of story do I want to inhabit?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy this video? If so, you can listen to full episodes of the Minimalists private podcast available exclusively on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/theminimalists today. Your support keeps our podcast and YouTube channel 100% advertisement free.